Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down one of the most powerful psychological hooks in existence, intermittent reinforcement. It's the sneaky engine that keeps us glued to things, even when they're actually hurting us.
Right, let's just jump straight into this quote, because it absolutely nails it. See, it's not about being in a situation that's bad all the time. It's about those unpredictable flashes of good, that incredibly powerful maybe. That's what has us pulling the lever on a slot machine over and over, hoping for that rare, amazing payout. So here's the game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with that emotional pull of the maybe. Then we'll give it its proper scientific name. From there, we'll see how this exact same effect pops up in totally different places, like video games. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty science of why we're so vulnerable to it. And finally, we'll give you the tools to spot this pattern out in the real world. So first up, let's talk about a feeling that can be just so confusing. That feeling of being totally drawn to a person or a situation that's just a roller coaster of extreme highs and extreme lows. You know, the key word here is intermittent. It's not about constant negativity. It's that unpredictable mix, the bad stuff followed by these sudden moments of calm or affection. That's what creates this incredibly strong and, yeah, often really unhealthy bond. Your brain isn't just dealing with the bad, it's desperately chasing the good.
Now, this feeling, this whole dynamic, it's not just some vague idea. Psychology actually has a really precise term for it, and it explains way more than just tough relationships.
And here it is, intermittent reinforcement. This is the absolute core of it all. Just think about it for a second. If you got a treat every single time you did something, you'd start to expect it, right? But what if the treat is unpredictable? Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. Well, your brain goes into overdrive. You become way more persistent because you keep thinking, okay, the next time will be the one.
And when this exact mechanism plays out in a relationship, it gets a much heavier name: trauma bonding. The brain literally latches onto those little moments of kindness like a lifeline in a storm. That rare positive moment becomes the entire goal, and a person can become conditioned to put up with the bad, just hoping to get back to the good.
And this isn't something that just happens overnight. As you can see, there's often a pretty clear escalating pattern. It can start with this super intense affection called love bombing to really earn your trust. But then, slowly, that shifts to criticism, to manipulation, and it creates this awful cycle of feeling resigned and distressed. And because the whole thing repeats with those little moments of good times sprinkled in, the bond just gets stronger and stronger, making it so hard to see from the inside.
Okay, but what if I told you that this exact same psychological mechanism isn't just found in relationships? It has been perfected, optimized, and turned into a multi-billion-dollar business model. And this chart, wow, it just lays it out perfectly. The unpredictable reward system in a trauma bond is basically identical to the mechanics of video game loot boxes. They both run on what's called a variable ratio reinforcement schedule. You have no idea when that moment of affection is coming, and you have no idea when that super rare sword is going to drop from a loot box. The psychological hook is exactly the same. And is this hook effective? Oh yeah, incredibly effective. Consumers spent about $65 billion on in-game purchases back in 2022. And you better believe a massive chunk of that came from the maybe of loot boxes. That little voice saying the next one could be the big win. So the big question is why? Why are our brains so easily tricked by this pattern, whether it's coming from a person or from a video game? What is going on under the hood that makes us so vulnerable? Well, researchers are all over this, and this paper from the University of Basel really helps us break it down. It points to two really powerful ideas that help explain our vulnerability: self-determination theory and the dualistic model of passion. Let's unpack those. So first up is self-determination theory. It sounds kind of academic, right? But the idea is actually super simple. It says that all of us, no matter who we are, have three basic psychological needs. We need to feel like we have some control over our lives. That's autonomy. We need to feel like we're good at stuff. That's competence. And we need to feel connected to other people. That's relatedness. When those are met, we're generally doing pretty well. Okay, now here's the kicker. This is where it all clicks into place. A huge problem can start when there's a big gap between where our needs are being met. If your general life satisfaction is kind of low, but one specific thing, say a video game, gives you a massive, reliable dose of feeling competent and in control, your brain can latch on to that activity. It becomes the main place you go to feel good. And that imbalance is a huge risk factor for what happens next. This can lead to what's called an obsessive passion. And look, this isn't a healthy hobby we're talking about. This is more of a compulsive behavior. It's this uncontrollable urge to do that one thing just to feel okay, because it might be the only place where your need for, say, competence is really being satisfied. And that creates the absolute perfect opening to be exploited by things like loot boxes.
All right, let's tie a bow on all of this. We've seen the emotional side, we've seen the business side, and we've peeked under the hood at the science. So what's the big takeaway from all this?
The common thread is always there. You just have to know what to look for. The engine is always that unpredictable reward, that maybe. The vehicle can be a person or a product. It doesn't really matter. But the fuel is so often a deep, unmet need inside of us. And the result is a powerful dependency that feels almost impossible to break because it's hooked into something so fundamental. So I'll leave you with that question to chew on. Because once you can spot the maybe hook, once you see the pattern for what it is, you're no longer just playing the game. You're the one who understands the machine, and that's the first step to being able to choose to walk away. Thanks for watching.